Okay. Hi, Bill.
Hey, good morning.
Where's your face? I want to see your smiling face.
I'm hot. Just got out of the shower after exercising.
Oh, what a good boy. There you are. Is it warm over there?
No, it's only 56, but I'm warm.
I know my house was 64 degrees when I got up this morning. I had to turn on a little heat. That was ridiculous. Good morning,
Yeah,
Ray.
I had the heat
Good
running for a
morning.
while too.
Did you get the pictures I sent you, Ray?
Not yet.
I emailed them
Text.
last night.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I emailed just the ones that were small enough to email because there were a couple of videos that if you go over about 10 seconds, you can't email them.
Oh my. No, they didn't come through, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, look in your junk mail. That's probably where I
Okay.
am. I've been in better people's junk mail than yours.
Okay.
Ray took me on a scenic tour last Friday from Medford. We flew over to Crater Lake, around Crater Lake, and I got to fly back around.
Yeah, exactly. That was the big part. Yeah.
That was so cool. That was
I
so
bet.
much fun. He's got a beautiful experimental plane. It's just, we're halfway there, and I look at this little notice that's right above my kneecaps that says, by the way, you're riding in an experimental plane.
Yeah. That's not confidence inspiring, is it?
Well,
it
I
wasn't Harrison Ford's, was it?
Yeah, no.
I didn't have one of those notices on my hang glider, but it was experimental too.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah.
Here comes Jim. We had a nice governor changeover at
Okay.
Siskiyou Field Institute. Morning, Jim.
Look at him with that Rotary shirt on. Man, he's looking like a governor.
I know it. He's looking the part, isn't he?
Man.
Few more days, not too many. 10 more days, huh?
Yeah.
Then you get the subpoena.
Yeah. Let's see. I better, oops, 3 people waiting in the waiting room. Admit them. And then I'm going to make Ray a co-chair or co-host just for fun. As soon as I get done messing this up. Okay. Okay. Good morning, Jill, Brian.
Good morning.
Mitch.
Good morning.
How's
So,
everybody?
Chris, where did you fly in the afternoon?
We flew up to the Applegate Valley.
Okay. Right.
And I used to fly off Mount Woodrat Mountain
Right.
in my hang glider. So we circled, we checked to make sure there was nobody there. And
Okay.
there wasn't. I mean, there were some people camping up at the launch, but we circled around it. So that was like an old memory.
Right.
Then we went up to Applegate Lake, turned around and buzzed the lake coming all the way back. You know, because you can, those things are so maneuverable. And of course, windblown hair was an understatement. So it kind of blew out the
Applegate
helmet
Valley
hair.
is awesome for hang gliding. They do it all the time. It's
I know.
beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to do too.
Chris did it.
Cool.
Used
She
to
used
a
to
lot.
Yeah.
It's
Back
more
in-
fun sitting at a winery watching you, Chris.
Oh, well, everybody's got their priorities. Let's see. Oh, Angela's here. Angela's our regional membership coordinator. Hi, Angela. Getting all connected. Haven't seen you in a long time. Let's catch up. We had a meeting yesterday. Jim was there. Let's see. Huh?
Was I?
Yeah, you were there and you were just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Here comes Sharon from California. Ah. Everybody having a good Monday, Tuesday so far? That's what I call a day after a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of like Monday, it's kind of like Tuesday.
Well, feels like April.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready for summer to get back to business.
Yeah.
Angela has no idea what we're talking about. It's probably warm in Arizona.
Oh, okay. Okay. We set a record yesterday for record low.
I know. Really? I had to turn my heat on in the house. It's ridiculous. Oh, here comes Joe Vincent, our new executive AG. It's going to be fun. Morning, Joe. Morning, Sharon.
How does the ladder work while we're waiting for the people to come in, Chris? When you say executive, like how does it work from, give me it like 6 or 8.
Where do you want to go?
After presidents, where do you go?
Well, you can go to assistant governor where you're supporting several clubs in your area,
Right.
maybe say 5 clubs, give or take. You could go to being a district chair of a committee of, there are several of them that you can pick and choose from.
Such as what you're doing.
Yeah, membership chair and
Right.
or grant chair or PR chair or youth exchange chair. There's a lot of different chairs. So showing interest, and if the chair isn't available, there's always the committees to get involved in. And let me back up. Where do you want to go, Ray?
No, I was just asking where I've never heard the term executive AG before.
It's fairly new.
Okay.
We invented it
Congratulations, Joe.
just for Joe.
Okay.
And Joe supports all of the AGs.
I
So
see.
he's the conduit between the district communication wise, support wise, and the AGs who support all the clubs.
Okay. That's really what I was wondering. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
So the AGs aren't trying all to get a hold of the district governor and, it just, because how many AGs are there, Joe? 20 or so?
Well, right now there are 15 positions. One is
Okay.
unfilled.
Okay. Which area is unfilled?
Umpqua.
Umpqua, which is what? 10?
Williamsburg, Sutherland.
Okay. Okay, well, keep it in mind, anybody. Opportunities abound. And the pay goes up as you move up the ladder. It doubles. Every step of the ladder, it doubles. How cool is that? How can you turn it down? Morning, Mitch.
Finally got my thing working where I can see, you can see me and I can talk.
All right. And Jerry, hi.
Hi.
I said to you, hi to you. And let's see, who else? I think I said hi to Brian, but I'll say it again just because I can't remember. Okay, it's 10:05. Let's get this party started. Today we have a special guest presenter, and that is the person that volunteered a couple meetings ago to do it. And he had a little thing called 100th anniversary celebration for his club that made him postpone last month. So we talked about burnout. But Raymond Kistler is here. You like to be called Ray, right? Is that correct? Yes. Okay. He's a president for what, another 10 days of the Medford Club.
Did you put her harness back in the car?
And he doesn't even look like he's 100 years old. I'm going to mute.
Right.
And let's see, what else was I going to say? we're going to be talking about, he came up with the title, this is my introduction of you, Ray, of meeting in the middle. A few months back when we had anonymous interviewees, one of them had left his club after being a long-term member because he didn't feel like his perfect attendance mattered anymore, and several other things that had changed to accommodate a younger demographic. So some clubs are having trouble with trying to accommodate a younger demographic and keeping the older demographic or longer term members engaged and enthusiastic about Rotary. So how do you meet that in the middle? And if you've experienced anything like that, you're not alone. And if you haven't, it's just a matter of time. So our presenter is Ray Kistler. He's president of the Medford Club. He's the principal of KSW Architects. Check out his website. There's some fabulous buildings that you've designed and built. And he works closely with his clients to determine the best overall building design, which I thought that gives him a really interesting and unique perspective on how you can create an individual blueprint in your club to bring your different demographics together and keep everybody happy. So with that, Ray, you should be able to share your screen if you want.
Okay.
And you're on.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. That was a kind introduction. This is my first time leading this, so I may need a little bit of help. But since I agreed on this topic, which is a big important topic, that started when I took over my term as president of the club, and our largest goal was to grow the club membership because we lost about 50% over the pandemic, and we have not really been able to rebuild yet. I don't think we're alone in that. But what happened in my first attempts to grow the club was I felt that we're a service club first before a good old boys club, good old boy women's club. So I put out the notion that we should be asking all of the people with a heart for service to come visit us with the idea of possibly becoming members. So that started to work. We had some new folks coming in and checking us out. And as we started to induct the first few, I lost 4 of our, I think we call them district judges, county judges. We had all the Jackson County judges in our club.
Wow.
And they sent a letter when they resigned that the place you are taking your club is like anybody can join, whether they operate a taco truck on the corner, or if they're a very low level office worker at Asante Hospital, which was my goal. And it was they were so disappointed in this. Members that had been members for decades, they signed a letter of protest saying that where you're taking this club now it's like anybody can join. To which I thought was a positive thing. That is the idea. We're a service club first, and anybody should be able to join. You don't need to be a judge or a big business owner. But they were very disappointed that they looked around and they saw a lot of younger people coming in that were not very high level. They were basically the nobodies in town as far as they were concerned.
So Ray, these were circuit court judges?
Yes. Yep. 4 of them. Yeah. And they were people that I personally knew very closely also, because I also do about 12-15 hours a week as a CASA volunteer, court appointed special advocate for children in the foster care system. So I'm in front of these guys a couple of times a week each. So I even had that personal connection, but we lost them, and they were very valuable members that were shakers and movers and did projects and donated well. So that's what started this whole thought. Saying that, I still feel like it was the right thing to do, even though it's been a big setback for our club. I just really, in my heart, just don't think it could go any other direction and sustain itself in the future. Because a lot of these folks, when they retire out, they give their resignation also anyway. So we only have, probably about 10% of the people in our club are still working age anyways. The youngest member in our club is probably mid-late 30s. I might, at 62, I might be about the fourth youngest person. So we're not in a sustainable pattern anyways, as maybe a lot of your clubs are not. In fact, it's a train wreck ahead. Anyway, so let me see if I can get a screen up here. So do I have?
You should be able to see share screen. You see that?
Share screen, okay.
Okay.
Hit
And
that.
then it'll ask you what, it'll give you some options. Usually it's the first one you want, which is your desktop.
Okay, I'm sorry for this.
That's okay. If it was easy, you wouldn't be a Rotarian.
Okay, I'm trying to scroll my computer, so I'm trying to get to my,
That's
there we
okay.
go, got it, okay,
All right. I see it coming.
yeah. Hey, let's see, is that showing up?
I
No?
see a file folder with Rotary Young Adult Membership and Roger Hart
Yes,
ladder
yes.
of participation.
So is that on everybody's screen?
Just the files are.
Oh, okay.
I don't see, maybe you need to click on it or something. The file you want to share.
Yeah, I've done that.
There appears to be something over to the right of the screen.
Yeah, I see the ladder.
Yeah,
If you want, Ray, you could
I'll just read it then.
email me the thing you're trying to show, and then I can put it up on the screen. I don't know what.
Okay,
I think if you just double click on it, it'll open the file.
Thanks, Bill. Maybe not.
okay, it's coming. There it is.
Is it? That looks like an interesting concept. I want to see that ladder.
Yeah. You've got it too now, Chris.
Oh, do I?
I'm
Okay.
clicking on it and it just isn't,
Hang on. I'm going to exit full screen and go find the file you sent me. I got the file. Is it just the one slide?
yes, to start. Mhm.
Okay. Hang on, it's coming. All right, now I'm going to, if you can unshare your screen, I'm going to share mine. You
Okay.
can stop share, I think. Did you turn off your screen?
I've lost the buttons at the bottom I just
Try
have.
up at the top. I know, I'll just turn you off of being co-host. That's what that'll do you.
Okay.
Remove co-host permission. Oh,
There we
buddy,
go.
you are no longer able. Okay, so let's see. Let's do this one. How's that?
There we go. Now my buttons are back. Yeah.
There we go.
Can you see it?
Yes.
That's mine that you're seeing there, Ray. So I'll scroll as you tell me to.
Right. Okay. Okay. So when I was at the I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. When I was at the Rotary International Conference in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, it was amazing to hear that it seems like in America is the area where we have the problem with the issue with getting young people to join the clubs. So I'm going to jump ahead and say what happens when you do get them in, and why don't they stay, and what's happening when they visit and what their experiences are. So there's basically 8 rungs on this theoretical ladder of young adult perceptions of coming into a Rotary club and how they feel when they come in. And I thought we could all kind of give examples of each rung and how we feel this has happened that we've experienced in our own club. So the bottom of the ladder being the worst place to be, young people are manipulated into a Rotary event. So so I have a couple of examples that I thought we could share. This is like where these are where you don't want to be, especially 1 through 3. So manipulation is elder-led activities in which young adults do as directed without understanding the purpose of the activity. And our club has done this a few times when we've done events, and we have the either young people, Rotaract members, or even the youngest members that are thinking about join, and we put them in some nondescript job like parking cars. You know, standing out there missing the whole event and just waving cars through. They don't even understand. They've been asked to participate and take a Saturday or a whole weekend out of their life. They don't even understand what the fundraising event is about. And then they're relegated to where it's not fun and it's not action. And it's really, I think, where some of the seasoned members that have done it for 10 or 15 years have already seen the fun event, be it a track meet or a car show or something like that. And then we've got the decoration. And I don't know, would anybody like to join in on where you think your club might have done something with younger people, younger adults that was straight on, could be defined as just manipulation?
Well, I can think of one where, you know, we need some tech help. So here comes young person. We assume, oh, that's the tech person. And we automatically assign them to help with tech, and without even asking or, you know, finding out if you're interested or knowledgeable about it. I've seen that happen over and over again.
Right. Yeah. 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 We do that one at our church. It's terrible.
Jim, excuse me, Jim, can you look and see if anybody's in the waiting room? I don't know why, but I can't get back to it now that I'm screen sharing. I just want to, would you just keep an eye on that for me? I can't hear you, but I know you will. Thanks. Go ahead, Ray, sorry.
Okay, yeah. The next one up, decoration, elder-led activities in which young adults understand the purpose, but have no input in how they are planned. So examples of this one are pretty serious in our club. They're never part of the planning.
Hmm.
Yeah. And these ideas actually came up as problems that I went to a few symposiums while in Melbourne at Rotary International. And these were because in other clubs around the world, the youth really are a big part of the club. They're huge, but they get relegated to these categories pretty easily. And so they were giving examples of what they felt like, whether they were Rotaract members or just young in their 20-somethings joining Rotary and not ever being given a board position, not anything. And so one of the things I thought that in the declaration or tokenism, elder-led activities in which young adults may be consulted with minimal opportunities for feedback. These could be, we have in our club, the four-way test activities where younger members are asked and youth are asked to give these speeches, but they just come and do that, and we don't really have them back for anything else. So, you know, we'll give a $50 or $100 scholarship to the winner, but they're really, one might think if you were one of them that you were there kind of for entertainment purposes for the weekly program. I don't think that's what we're after, but I think that's how it might be taken. And then we start getting to level 4 on the ladder. Oh, does anybody have any other examples in their club how young adults might feel that they are in these areas and that it's something we should watch out for not doing? So yeah, hoping this can be a discussion we can all learn from it. Oh boy, that could be seen as taken that way from our youngest members.
Input. Come on, you guys, you know, you've been there.
Well, okay. Well, here, okay, then we'll go up to 4
Well,
and
we're not
5.
just talking, we're not just talking Rotaractors, right? We're talking any young member, any,
Yeah,
know,
Rotaractors, yes.
30-ish.
Right.
Under 50.
Well-
I mean, if Ray's the fourth youngest person and he's what, 60 something.
Right.
I mean,
See, that's
You can
what I was
reconstruct what you're
on the
thinking of
same
as young.
page as Bill. We don't have any Rotaractors that we currently have an opportunity to work with, but we chartered and do a lot of work with the local Boy Scouts. And so as far as parking duties and such, helping on the food line at a barbecue, we utilize them, and they are a part of the program. They do present the colors and they listen to why people have gathered to donate. But as far as I was thinking, this topic was more about the young Rotarians in our group that have young children that are very demanding upon their time, where those of us that have already put our time in with that part of our life, we have a little more flexibility in our schedules. And so that's, you know, the one, Ray, the one thing that comes to mind with me is number 3, tokenized. I have to plead guilty to this. I'm doing my roster. My club still likes to have a roster they can keep in their car or, you know, tote along with them. I admit I'm one of those too. But I asked the gentleman that's doing it, one of our internet Rotarians, to make sure he gets pictures of young people in our roster. And I know that's probably a horrible thing to do, but we are a diverse club, and I want that to be portrayed in our membership PowerPoint and also in our roster.
Right, right.
Our club
That is-
just, our club, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to concur that we haven't been putting our Rotaract members in our directory either for the same reason, and I don't know exactly if that's really valid enough. Sometimes we can take a concern and we can go with it, but maybe some concerns aren't legal concerns, and that in the long term, it would be better if they were included and they felt included. That's an interesting topic of having them be in our directories. We have one too. I pull it out every day. Yeah.
This is Mitch. In our E-Club, we have sponsored a Rotaract club. They're very active. And actually the president and the president-elect come to our board meetings. But if I recall correctly, Rotaract age top limit has been removed. And so what I'm finding is those who are in the Rotaract were in it before, they would move to a regular Rotary club. They're staying with the Rotaract club.
Interesting. Okay.
I just want to clarify from like an RI standpoint, the statistics, well, that may have been the case with your E-Club, the statistics of how many Rotaractors were actually going on to being a part of Rotary was very, very low. And so what we found was that people who were essentially aging out of Rotaract were staying in their clubs unofficially, or they were leaving Rotary entirely. And so while I'm not saying that this was not the case for you, I just say in a very general sense, which is why the decision was made to lift the age gap.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Mitch, that sounds great that they were even invited to the board meetings, because
Well,
that
they're always there. There's not just occasional time. They're there every board meeting.
wow.
And they do have input of what they're doing and things like that. So my feeling, they feel they're part of us.
Okay. Okay.
And our new satellite is largely young professionals, and the chair, which is me, is supposed to come to the board meeting or is invited to the board meeting, or my designate. And I'm trying to rotate each of them through so that they are exposed to our Rotary Southtown board, and they can learn how the Rotary board works, that it's bigger than just our little new fledgling satellite, and what they can learn from here, and try to bridge that gap. But we got off on a tangent about board meetings, but it's a way to involve them in the decision making and leadership, which is really important.
Right. Right. That seemed to be the number one reason that young people quit Rotary around the world, is that they feel that they're not part of the decision-making process. What the events are, right down to the details, they'd like to be a part of that. I'll be honest, we don't have that problem because we don't even have any young people. So I'm kind of jumping forward, and I took this subject as if we did have young people, but we don't.
Well, let me put
In
a
our
plug
little
in.
club.
Let me put a plug in. We should be sending any young members that we do have in our clubs to the Rotary Leadership Institute coming up in September. They want leadership training. They want to be involved. The ones that have gone to RLI, the one over in Bend whenever it was, they have gone back to their clubs and become active participating leader members. And this is what we've got to give them, the skills and the confidence to do that, to step into those positions. Anyway, sorry, I get off my soapbox, but I'm kind of passionate about leadership development.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My son did that, the RILA camp, and that, along with speech and debate, he kept him active through Rotary, and now he's still
cool.
doing it in Minneapolis. So yeah, he did get that. Moving up the ladder then to what is working, and what it sounds like the E-Club is doing, is on rung 6, 7, 8, but 6, adult initiated but shared decisions with young adults, elder-led activities with shared decision making. And one step up from that, young adult initiated programs. How about that one? Were they young members or Rotaract members? They come up with the ideas of what activities, fundraising events, or parties, or whatever is done. I'll give an example of where we really, well, I'll move up to the top, young adult-led initiative, share decisions with elders, young adults work as equal partners. Our Rotaract Club on their own without us, they just kind of went out on their own and they did an Easter event at a Medford charter school where
Oh.
5 members put it on. They had, when it came time for that, and the senior members of our club went to just go check out what they were doing and see if we could be of any help. It was by far the largest Rotary event we'd ever seen, and they put it on. 5 high schoolers put it on. They had over 1,000 families come through the doors to do, it was just little games for prizes for the littlest of children to come through. And so that I think that they charged $5 for family or whatever, but they raised more money and had more visitors than any event we've done. And it was really neat to, we just asked what event could we help man or whatever. We just asked them what we could do, and they ran the whole thing. And it was really quite humbling how well they did. And then where I think our club, I think it's good to also look at where you could improve. As Chris was saying, in our club, we had a 100-year celebration event recently. And we asked our youngest members and the Rotaractors to sell raffle tickets.
Mhm.
That was their whole role. They were not they were not invited to one planning meeting. I know for a fact they didn't know if this was a fundraiser event or if we were just doing this to acknowledge our 100-year anniversary that Chris was at. They had no idea what was going on until the event was all over, but they were not asked to be front and center or even on third base. They were like a little league game out in third field, sitting down picking daisies in a baseball game. So I think we kind of really missed a huge opportunity there in our club, but we also experienced a real great one at Easter where
So
we did it
I'm
right.
sorry. So what's going through my mind is that personality also plays into this. And I'm thinking about an example in my club here in Coos Bay, North Bend, where we encouraged a young Rotarian, hadn't been in the club for more than a couple of years at the most, probably under 30, I would guess, and really a good guy, but a type B personality, and he got elected to the board. So one of the things that I want to make sure is that he isn't kind of, I don't know how to word this tactfully, so I'll just be untactful, treated like a second-class board member because he's young. I want to make sure that we draw out his participation so that some of the more dominant board members that have been in Rotary forever don't just kind of strut their stuff and show all they know and have this individual feel marginalized. That's kind of got my attention. I've been thinking about that anyway, but this discussion's really great, Ray, and it caused me to think more about that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think as president, it behooves you to play a facilitator role at your board meetings and draw out the people that, there's always, it's same in RLI or any training that I do. There's always 2 or 3 people that have their hands up first. They want to answer every question. They know everything and they're so excited. And then the quiet ones that generally have something more poignant to say, but they need to be drawn out because they will wait until they feel like it's time or it's their turn. And as facilitators, as the leaders, we have to encourage them to speak out. Like I could say, Ray LaMarche, even though you're not a type B personality at all, you've been real quiet. So now what do you think about all this? And what's your experience at Springfield Club?
So you should say that. Springfield, I think, is doing pretty well. We have gotten a lot of newer and younger members. And when I say younger, 50 and under, I would say. I don't have the data in front of me, but I feel like they're pretty much everybody's treated the same as long as, they're willing to be there. I don't see a big difference there. What I did want to say, however, is I visited Greater Albany yesterday, and I'd like to give a shout out. I know Joe's on here. Their PE just graduated from college. She's a youngin', and she's
Mm.
given that role as the PE. And I just want to say that is wonderful. I really took note of that. I know that for our club, as we are looking into next year, and I as PE, I'm writing down little notes about inviting Interact to our club. Unfortunately, or to our board, to have a representative just attend a board meeting here and there. We get wonderful reports from them, and then a couple of other groups to come to the board and present, but not necessarily be board members, but again, to include everybody. And yeah,
Mhm.
that's all I have to say.
Joe.
Yeah, I'd like to say about that young lady is 24 years old now, and she's the incoming president of her club. That was a good case study for what the topic today was. When she was announced as our president-elect, suddenly a lot of old timers took great interest in how presidents were selected for our club. So people who had been sort of, we're the old timers, we're the old guard, we really run things, our opinions count twice, et cetera, et cetera. Suddenly, they wanted to know, where does it say in the bylaws how presidents are selected? And it was because of her age. And there were expressions from, to me personally, from older club members. What's the potential we're still going to have a club the following year? How can she possibly wrap her arms around this? And I got many versions of that comment, to which I responded every time, well, that's going to depend on you.
Good for you.
If you're there in the
Mhm.
queue helping her succeed, she will succeed.
Right.
She lacks something in experience that you have. It's up to you. It's your responsibility as a Rotarian and a member of this club to share that with her. And it took a few months, but there's been a visible change among the attitudes of old timers, especially people who lead fundraising events and that sort of thing, to grasp the fact that, well, we had a board meeting yesterday, and she really took control at several points when people were speaking about decisions that they were making for the club. And she had a very strong, kind, compassionate way of stepping up and saying, well, that's really my decision, or that's really a board decision.
Mhm.
Yes, I know you may have had the decision making in the past, but when I'm president, this is going to be returned to a board decision. And so I think for her to have felt that way took a lot of coaching from a lot of other Rotarians who took her seriously as a president-elect. So that's my comment. This is a club, getting people involved who are younger in club leadership is a responsibility of many, many, many different people in the club, not just the club president or the membership chair.
Right. Brian, you had your hand, you were doing the fist pump thing. What were you thinking there?
Well, I was just appreciating, Hannah's gone through all the president-elect stuff with me, and she's got a lot of energy. She's going to be terrific. And I was thinking back to some conversations I've had with members of, I will ask some of the past presidents, hey, I'm headed into this role. What kind of advice or feedback do you have? And I had one
gentleman, I will just say his hair is a little grayer than mine. And he's probably been in the club for 30 years. And he said, we need to get Rotary back to what it used to be. And I said, like what? Before women were involved in Rotary, or like how far back do you want to go to what Rotary used to be? And I just said Rotary is never going to be what it used to be. It will be what we create going forward. So we'll see. But yeah, I think you have to be willing to step up and lead. And I think that's what's happening in the, in that Albany club.
Right.
It's exciting to see it too, that because it, I think older members know they need to let go. They want change, but when it's presented in front of them, it's like, oh, I don't know if I like that. We're all kind of that way.
Right. Yeah. Our club is going through angst right now by some older members that have been members for 30, 40 years, because we have new categories for spouses where they only pay, what is the RI dues, that portion that has to go up and out, but other than that, they don't. Or for younger people, to me, it's a no-brainer, but just younger people that are in an older person's work organization. So the next generation coming in, but they're not really a big-time decision maker yet. So we have a special low-cost dues situation for them too. So it's kind of interesting. Chuck Root, I think, who many of you may know, he said something to me when I became president: how many Rotarians does it take to change a light bulb? And the answer is none, because Rotarians don't change.
So Ray, can you explain how your dues work? You just waive the club dues. They still have to pay the district and RI dues, right?
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah. But for our younger members in there, and we've had some and we've lost, and we've been losing them. They typically don't stay for more than a year so far, except for one or two, especially if they're having to pay their own dues out of their pocket.
Yeah.
Versus.
So is there an age cutoff, or how long do they get to defer paying club dues?
Until, well, in our two categories, as long as their spouse is still a member, they get to continue on that forever. And then in the case of a younger member from the same place of employment, until that person retires, and then they roll into their position. And they retires out. That could take 5, 10 years. It could take a long time. But as yeah, that's what we're playing with. I should say, when I say it's been met with resistance, it's only been met with resistance out of 2 or 3 members out of 75. So, but it just seems like we have to, we can't get unanimous decisions on any change. Yeah.
Well, I applaud you for the experiment. I mean,
yeah, it's been a year of experimenting.
Yeah,
for sure.
and that's awesome.
Yeah. I thought I would also share some, which goes back to kind of the title of today's thing, today's talk about at least I'll just give some example. I hope this leads to more discussion, examples from your own clubs, but things that younger members have been uncomfortable with. Besides the 8 rungs on the ladder, we have found out that in our club, that the younger members are very uncomfortable when the invocations turn into a prayer. I understand from a lot of clubs that's not happening and hasn't happened in a long time, but we're still carrying that on. About half of our invocations, they turn into a Christian prayer. And I admit that, and I'm a Christian, and it's still, and I know it's uncomfortable for some, especially, right at the end of some really nice message, and it's not obvious it's a prayer. It seems like an invocation, and then it ends with, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, amen. Yeah. And then you just look around, you just look around the crowd, and you could see how uneasy younger people are with that. They haven't had to be.
I would like to say it's not only young people.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not only young people.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it makes me uncomfortable. I'm not young and I'm actually a Christian. It still makes me uncomfortable. It's not the time and place for that.
If we're going to be an international organization, we should realize that maybe there's other religious beliefs out there.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, and we had a discussion a few months back that creating a welcoming environment, and we talked about that, and we also the Pledge of Allegiance came out too.
That's right.
Because we're not all Americans, and we had one district governor, past district governor, and soon to be another district governor in a different district. Her husband's Canadian, and so people tell her, well, just don't have him salute, you know, don't have him do the pledge. They always get that side eye, and it's uncomfortable. And so it's nothing that it's a club by club decision, but it's something to think about. Is it who might we be alienating, and how much does that bother us?
Right.
You know, if it's okay, that, you know, if it's like, I don't, you know, I'm not going to be politically correct, I don't care about that, but that's fine. It's just consciously think about it.
Yeah. I was going to go to that next, is the pledge.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. I led you right to it.
Yeah, that's another one that yeah, the younger members are not appreciating that. Here's another one. Sergeant at Arms. I don't know about your club, but we don't do the happy dollars. We just kind of go for the big hits of, oh, you were just in the newspaper, you were promoted, or you were something. And nobody asks for the amount. It's a cultural thing. It's like birthdays and holidays seem to get $50.
Ooh.
And if something happened at work that was noteworthy, it's $100. And the young people feel like they just can't jump into that. In fact, when I joined, it was hard for me just to be able to do the $12, $15 lunches. Really hard. You know, much less the dues, but those lunches were just not part of a young guy's raising a family of 6. Is that was taking a big chunk. So the sergeant at arms is very off-putting to our younger members, and so somehow changing that culture, we're trying to blend in happy dollars along with sergeant of arms and get that, acknowledge it. But that goes to the next one, just blends in, that I have here, is we spend a lot of time in our club acknowledging Paul Harris Fellows. We have a whole speech that goes along with every step of the way. We have absolutely nothing acknowledging all the young people, our younger members, that actually show up on rainy Saturdays to pull weeds at the cemeteries. They're not acknowledged for everything. They don't have a lot of money, but they show up on Saturdays, and they do the more unpopular little community service projects we have going, restaining all the benches at the hospice home that we have in Medford. Lots of things like that. We only get the younger members out for the time ones, even though they're the ones that have little kids at home that need them on weekends. But it's not the seniors that are out there doing the pulling weeds at the cemetery and scraping the moss and bleaching the head markers to the old Pioneer Cemetery, which is a community cemetery. It doesn't cost anything to be in there. It's just, you're just there. So Parks and Rec took it over, but they don't have the budget to keep it maintained. And then here's one that's been one of my most challenging issues being a president of our club, is the older members and their joke telling. We always had a joke of the day. There's not much you can, I don't know what to say about this one. I don't know if it's, some people, the older people say the younger ones are they're too easily offended.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger members say that has absolutely no place. So recently we had a speaker come talk about equity and inclusion. And then we had some members raise their hand and say, well, after we got through the gender identification part of the presentation, we had members raise their hand and start talking about, well, what do we do with all the furries out here?
What?
And taking it to that whole extreme place. And all of our senior members were joking in about how ridiculous all of this gender identity stuff is, that we've just gotten caught up to gender identity. Yeah, so, but it turned into a joke time for the older members, and it wasn't very funny to the younger members.
You know, the district just added some an article to our documents, our district documents about DEI and about, you know, making people feel alienated, that you might check that out or follow up with me, Ray, or
Right.
anybody else that's interested. And I'll send that out to you, because we worked really hard. It started out to be just sexual orientation, but then we just made it inclusive of everything. You know, we
Right.
don't support that kind of behavior. Ray, I want to hear what you say, and Sharon and Jerry, I'd like to hear you guys chime in.
So me, Ray, versus
Yeah,
the other.
you, Ray, sorry.
Yeah, so I think that is such a sensitive issue.
It is.
And it's extremely difficult, and it's right up there with ending your prayer within Jesus's name. And I think what we have to remind people is that we all have different approaches to this, and what you do at your home and what you do with your friends and what you do in the community. We're not gonna, you know, say what you need to do, but in our meeting for 1 hour, this is a time of neutrality, and you don't have to like, but you have to just keep it, no discussion. And that's what I'm Jewish, for those who don't know. So ending the prayer with, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, is extremely offensive to me. But I say, in your home, that's what you should do. And I go through this with Christmas trees. I go through this with, you know, people have asked me about, you know, well, am I opposed to a Christmas party? And it's like, no, but just remember that in our club meeting, where we expect people to be, we want them to be, we need to make everybody comfortable, whether you like it or not. And it becomes our responsibility to remind others that nobody's going to control what you do outside of the meeting. Please be respectful of all. And that's all I can say, is I go through that a lot.
Right.
And as president, that's our job. You know, as leaders, it's not an easy peasy. I got written up at Pets because I said this, and I quote, "Leadership's not for wussies." And somebody was offended by my word wussy. And so I try not to say that wussy, but you guys, you know, if you don't like me, I'm sorry. I won't be district membership chair for long. I'll be district governor. Then you're really going to have to worry about me. But
I really have to ask, why is that offensive?
People can get offended, right? I don't.
It's not a bad word, is it?
I don't have to understand why they were offended. They maybe they thought it was a swear word or something. I don't know. But my point is, leadership is not always easy. Okay, you have to take those tough.
Yeah, I get it.
You have to take a tough stand. You have to be neutral, and you have to exemplify that and model it to your club. Sharon or Jerry, would you guys chime in? Would you be willing to say anything about whatever we're talking about here?
Jerry, you went first? No, Jerry's still muted.
Sure.
No, Jerry, you're
Okay.
unmuted. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Yeah, I was thinking back about our, well, probably the recent history with our club, and looking back maybe 5 or 6 years, we've only had 2 what I'd call younger members, I'd say under 40. And both of them were very involved, very respected by all the other members. And they had positions on committees and whatnot, and very well respected. And never saw any difference really between a younger member and those us older ones, put it that way. Unfortunately, both of them moved out of the area, so we lost them. So we never had a chance to build them more and put them into leadership positions because they were only with us for a year or two. And then recently we had a younger lady joined up with us, and geez, she was a champion of the DPIL program with our club, and doing a really good job. And then all of a sudden here the other day, I got an email from her, and she says she got a job change and she can no longer attend, and she resigned. So, and she was in her 40s. And so that's about the youngest we've had in our club. I just don't recall ever having younger members, and they just never seem to happen. And I've been involved for, I don't know, 27 years, I think.
Well, you add a few years, and when you're 90, you're gonna go, ooh, maybe we should be focusing on younger members.
Yeah.
You know, we're
Well, you
gonna
know,
be walking
Well-
around with our walkers and drooling in our lunch. And, you know, that's, we need to pave the path for the next gen. We have to, it's so important. Sharon, how about you? What's been your experience?
Let's see, things I'll talk about. The dues, the membership dues, the club dues, and the international dues. When we have someone who's having a little bit of a problem, or even if they just want to do it, you can always work off the club dues, because we have a lot of volunteer stuff that we do. And if we're doing, especially if we're doing a volunteer, not a volunteer, but if we're doing a bar, you know, a bar at night, if you do enough hours at the bar, you've worked off your club dues. And we're still paying the internationals, but you're doing, yeah, because I think most of the Rotaries do bars, don't we? You know, I'm not sure, but anyway.
Do bars?
Bars, yeah, we run little bars. We have how you say the bar is staffed by the Rotary members. If you'll go a fundraising dinner and there'll be a bar over to the side, that's how we make our money. We don't really do a great big dinner. We'll just do a whole bunch of little bars, and that works out fine. We make $300-400 a night that way, and
Wow.
It's enough for us. There's only 4 of us, so I mean, the 4 of us that actually go out and do stuff. We all got our bartender license to do it. What else was I going to say? I was going to say about the changing it from in the prayer. I would definitely like that. You know, I believe in, I don't know if I'd call myself anything where I go to church. I do believe there's something, but I'm not quite sure what it is. But when people say, can I tell you about God? I say, can I tell you about chocolate? You know, we all have something we believe in, but and it's just hard. So yes, making it not a prayer, making it not the Pledge of Allegiance. I live here, I believe in all this sort of stuff, but don't tell me to say a pledge all the time. That ain't, and I'm the youngest one in my group, and I'm 65. So what can I say?
You know, you guys, it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Dang.
Ah,
And I think I was watching Ray shaking his head because he was picking up some ideas. That's the whole idea about this forum, is sharing ideas. I wanted to make sure that you know that at the bottom of the chat, there's 3 little dots. You can save the chat. Jim Polk's going to be putting that DEI policy on it's a sexual or a harassment. Anyway, I can't remember the words, but anyway, that'll be on the district files later on today. So keep an eye out.
It is there now. I just finished it.
Look at you.
You go into the DACDB district files, public, and from there you'll see a folder for district policy manual. You click on that, and it's the only one that's separate as a individual document. The other folder has past versions.
Thank you.
just to help me out, because I'm on my way to a Rotary meeting right now. Just curiosity, in that manual, does it recommend or say something about quit the prayer, stop doing the prayers and the pledge?
No, that's a club decision.
That's still a club decision. Okay.
Pledge and prayer and invocation, however you want to do it, is a club driven. What is the philosophy of your club?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're not here to tell you what to do. We're just here to exchange ideas.
Yeah.
And as leaders of your individual clubs, that's your job.
I just thought it would help me to go to
Yeah.
to the old guard and say it's time we let this
Sorry,
go.
Ray.
Yeah.
Whoever's the president, well, you're only president for 10 more days, but you still have time to go make trouble. Good trouble.
Right.
Next month, I'm not sure. Does anybody want to do a program next month that I see here? Raise your hand. It could be anything you want. Lead a discussion about something that's burning desire.
No.
Look at you all looking at your shoes. That's okay. I'll make my own good trouble. You know me, I can do this. I wanted to tell you real quick though, that I have a replacement coming up. Not ready to announce it yet. Not sure how the protocol works about this, but when I move up into I'm going to be district governor nominee starting in 10 days. And then when I move up to district governor elect, it's going to get busy is what I understand. And so I have identified a replacement for district membership chair. I got to tell you, you're going to be so excited. So anyway, until next month, I'll send out the YouTube link, et cetera, et cetera.
And Chris,
Okay.
just so you know, this is probably my last one for about 6-7 months.
Oh, just because you're busy. Wine.
Yes, maybe a little bit busy on Tuesdays, as that's the day of the week where most clubs have their meetings on Tuesdays, it seems like.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Chris,
Well,
could I just say one thing really quickly?
Anybody that needs to leave, go ahead and leave because I value your time and thanks for being here. Sure, Jill.
Next month, the new officers are going to take their chairmanships. And I would like to ask everybody to reach out to their new membership, their new president on a personal level and invite them to this seminar. We talked about possibly changing the date for whatever reason. And I think we should probably get these new chairs involved because they're going to learn the most out of our conversation.
Yep.
That's it. Bye, everybody.
We did do a survey on changing the date and today's date and time came out on top by far. So there you go.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it'll stay that way forever, but that's the way it is at the moment. Ray, thank you so much. I'll send you
All
a
right.
formal thank you letter with hugs and kisses. No, I'm
no.
kidding. But that was
Uh,
sexual discrimination. That was impolite. And
That's right. I'm scarred forever, Chris.
I know. Well, you guys take care. Always a pleasure to work with you.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.